Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Live at Lunch with Mo here at canfitpro here in Toronto. As my guest today, Oonagh Duncan, resides here in Toronto. So I want to say, first of all, welcome to yet another week. And boy, oh boy, is the month ever flying by fast. But that's all good news because we're making things happen. So speaking of making stuff happen, I have a very incredible guest here today, a wonderful friend, an amazing fearless leader in the industry, Oonagh Duncan. So welcome, Oonagh.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, great to have you. And I'm just, I have to say I'm grateful because we've had the opportunity of working together for decades in the industry, but really it's just been in the last couple of years we've had the opportunity to lock arms and do some really cool things together.
Totally.
So great to have you live with Mo today here at canfitpro.
Thank you.
So I'm going to introduce you and then we're going to get right underway because what the viewers love is to learn all about the guests that we have on today's show and even ask questions. So if you're here live with us, then please ask your questions. We'll get to them as we go throughout the interview today. And then leave your comments at the end. Give us some thumbs up and some hearts and things you love about Live at Lunch with Mo because we can continue to bring you great education, some really good conversation and some really good insight that even I don't know what that's going to be until we dive in. So without further ado, Oonagh is a multi-award winning fitness expert, and this comes with not just luck, but a lot of hard work. But I'm going to ask Oonagh in her interview because even Oonagh didn't realize the younger version of herself that she would see herself in the fitness industry, and now you're award winning. So there's something magical that we want to hear about as far as what, leads to your success. You're also an author and a speaker. You specialize in training women over 40 to help build lean, strong, and healthy lifestyles. And while that may be common amongst all fitness industry leaders, what you do is you use a habit-based approach that is now published in a phenomenal book. It's called Healthy as Bleep. That's not all, and I'll let you fill in that word because I'm not going to say it here, but it's healthy as the habits you need to get lean, stay healthy, and kick ass at life, which is about as vulgar as I'm going to get, but I'm going to pass it on to Oonagh. I want you to share with us, what has led to your 5-star reviews that you get from all of your clients, your international acclaim, your journey to becoming an author and speaker as a result of your passion leading the fitness industry. Fill in the story a little bit more for us, and we'll take it from there.
Oh, man. Okay. Well, as you kind of alluded to, Mo, if you had told my 20-year-old self that I would be in the fitness industry, I would never have believed you. I was a passionate smoker. I don't think I owned a pair of running shoes. All of my shoes were those big, enormous Spice Girl boots. Remember those? Like I didn't have anything without a massive platform and a heel. And I'd never played sports in my life. I couldn't imagine anything more embarrassing than like trying physically at anything. And so anyway, so it's kind of astounding to me that I'm here right now talking to people about getting up at 6 a.m. and doing their Tabatas and all that sort of stuff. It's such a huge leap. So the way that happened, so basically I was a theater artist, I was an actor, and then I was a playwright, documentary playwright. And I felt really great about the kind of work that I was doing in the world and my friends and all that sort of stuff. But it was my physicality was not so great because like most children of the 80s, I grew up with the carby convenience foods. I'd have a bagel for, cereal for breakfast, bagel for lunch, pasta for dinner, sort of that really. And I am not, like I said, naturally athletic at all to this day. If you threw like a Frisbee at me, I would charge you with assault because I am not someone who's like, balls, let's go. So I really does not come to me naturally, which is, I think, helps me really resonate with my clients who feel the same way. When they say, I don't want to do it, it's embarrassing, I'm the biggest one in the room. Like, I don't know if there's a lot of fitness instructors out there who remember being the biggest one in the room. That is a very specific feeling. And I completely get that because when I started to get a little bit more uncomfortable with my weight, it was the one thing in my life that I really felt like I could not master. It was one thing that even though I was secretly kind of trying at it. And when I say secretly, I really mean in furtive ways, because I didn't want anyone to know that I was trying. And it was a little bit against my sort of feminist values to want to lose weight. And, you know, and I talk about it in my book, I was a fat activist. I was an activist campaigning against anti-fat attitudes in society. I wrote letters. I did performance art on this. So it was a huge part of my identity to not be a dieter, to not succumb to society's vision of what a perfect female body should look like. And then on the other hand, I would see pictures of myself and think, oh my God, that can't be me. That doesn't look like me. You know, and my clothes were getting bigger. I would go to, I'm only 5'4", but I would go to a clothing store and I would really kind of hope that they had sizes big enough to fit me. And that was not getting better. You know, that was getting worse and worse and worse. And so that was something that was starting to bother me more, because it just didn't feel like my outside was representative of my inside, of the kind of value I was giving to the world. And I just felt like, you know, this is going in a bad direction. So like most people in the world, I tried all the things. You know, I tried the low fat diet. I tried, you know, I probably shouldn't name brand names, but I tried all of the diets that all of us have tried. So think whatever you're thinking in your head, like I did that. Wow. I sent away for like really weird, like gimmicky slime things. I was supposed to have an empty stomach and like all these things. So I did all these things. Nothing worked. I hope I'm not breaking the news. It just never works, right? It works for a little bit. It works for like maybe 2 weeks, enough that you really get your hopes up and you start telling everyone, okay, this is it. This is my thing. You know, never again will I be in that size that I used to be in and whatever. And so I went through that, what I call in the book, the weight loss roller coaster, so many times. And so what finally shifted it for me was developing, and this is, you know, not deliberate at the time because I didn't know what I was doing, but what finally shifted, you're going to laugh, Mo, this is how I started exercising. I made a promise to myself that I could watch whatever guilty pleasure TV I wanted as long as I was on a treadmill. So the way that I started exercising was because of paternity tests on Maury Povich, Family Feuds on like Jerry Springer.
Oh my gosh.
Right? And so I just like, cause I would be like, you know, no one's watching. I watched like even like Grease 2, you know, the one with Michelle Pfeiffer. That's not as good as Grease 1, but it's still kind of good. Yeah. So all of these like horrible things I never wanted to, that I would never allow myself to watch, I could as long as I was on a treadmill. And that created what I call in the book is a positive habit loop. And so you have a habit, which is you have a trigger, then you have the behavior, and then you have a reward. And this is, Mo, if you can allow me a little bit of a rant, if I could say to all of my beautiful fellow fitness professionals and anyone who's interested in fitness who's watching this, one of the biggest things that causes that weight loss roller coaster, that makes it so hard for us to stick to stuff, is that we are relying on being disciplined, on being motivated. And we're so freaking hard on ourselves, guys. We have to make it pleasurable. It has to feel like a reward. It has to feel as fun as watching Jerry Springer or whatever it is for you that's going to make it feel fun. And so that for me created this this positive habit loop that I started associating exercise, instead of being like, you know, the fat, embarrassed, sweaty, out of, you know, coordination person in the back of the room, to, oh my gosh, exercise. I can't wait until I can get back on that treadmill. It's going to be so fun.
Wow.
So that's how it shifted. And then, you know, one thing led to another. And then I made those first tentative steps into a fitness class. And I remember looking at that woman. I still remember, I don't know if anyone listening to this, her name was Kristen. She taught at the Bally's on Bloor Street in Toronto, and she taught like boxing. And she was so cool. And she was my first model of someone who was cool, who was also, because I pictured like, you know, I don't know, I had this horrible idea of like what a fitness person was versus what I was, which was like a cool alternative poetry writing, whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she was so cool. And so she was that first model of like, oh my gosh, I could be like her. And then I started going to the classes, and, you know, one thing led to another, blah, 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 blah. And then, you know, here I am.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I wonder, you know, do you think you would have arrived in the fitness industry if you hadn't have had that great experience, surprisingly great experience in the group fitness class?
No way. No way. Oh my gosh. No, I like the fitness industry. Like I felt, you know, almost, like so opposed to that in so many ways. And it wasn't until I went, and that that one person was so cool. And then I met another person that's really cool. And then I realized that these are people who have really similar values. They're just sort of expressing it in a different way. And I realized, oh my gosh, the value, when you get your body on board with all the stuff that's going on up here, whoa. Stuff can happen.
Great point. When you get your body on board with what's going on in here.
Yeah.
And then sometimes, you know, when you get what's going on in here to inspire you to get the body moving, you know, either way you go, you get at it.
Well, this is the thing, right? And so they talk about the body, mind, and the mind, body, and you know what? It's like I actually wrote my master's thesis in acting on how to manipulate your body in order to get certain emotions, because a lot of times actors will like go into their past and think of all these things in order to get the appropriate emotion for the scene. And I was like, well, can we just put our body into a certain position in order to skip it and get to the emotion? So I think that there is all this, like, we can't separate the body and the mind. And if people think that they are going to get themselves out of a funk without actually moving, it's going to be really hard, dudes. Like, you got to move your body. Yeah.
Great point. An easiest way to get out of a funk is to actually just move your body, right?
Move your body. Yeah. Move your body. Don't sit there thinking about, why am I like this? Or if only this was like this, and like all that. Just get up. Get up, go for a walk, go for a run, go for dance, do whatever you got. Like, move your body, and all that stuff's going to move through you. Stop overthinking it.
Yeah, stop overthinking it. And then you create that habit through that feedback loop. You know that when you're feeling in a funk, I just need to move and get myself out of that funk.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's the easiest thing, you know, and you don't have to analyze your childhood or anything. You just got to move. Yeah.
Love it. Don't analyze your childhood, just move.
That's it.
Good points. And I love what you said about that impression you had with that instructor, which we're going to come back to in a few minutes around the power of influence. Let's hold that thought.
Sure.
I wanted to ask you, tell us about your new book and tell us what you've been up to, because you published this incredible book. I was so privileged to be at your book launch in Toronto. Thank you for the invite.
Oh, thank you.
You've collaborated with Penguin on this and Penguin Publishers. Tell us what you've been doing with the book. How's it been received? And what I'd love you to touch on is you shared with me that even fitness professionals are reaching out to you, buying your book in bulk. Yeah. And why? Tell us about that.
Oh my gosh, that is the thing that's hitting me the hardest, Mo, is like my fellow fitness professionals saying, I need to buy this and give it to all my clients. And that is like, oh my gosh, I'm so honored, because of course there's no one I respect more than people in our industry who know this, who have read all of the fitness books.
Yes.
And they get it, that this is a little bit different. So here it is. It's called Healthy As, sorry. So Healthy As beep. And so basically it is a habits-based approach. So part one is called Get Your Head Out of Your Butt. And it's all the mindset stuff that no one is doing when they go on a big, let's get fit now, sort of like, let's do this. There is some baseline mindset work that you got to do, like figuring out why. And like, do I actually really want to get fit, or do I just want to, you got to figure out some stuff first. And otherwise you're kind of screwed. So I talk about all that mindset stuff right off the bat. Part two is just tell me what the bleep to do to get skinny already. And that's where I go over the 7 habits of highly healthy mother. And there's a lot of profanity. If you are profanity sensitive, this is probably not your book. Although I will say there have been some reviews that say I'm not usually a fan of cursing, but get this book anyway.
Oh.
So then part two, just tell me what the bleep to do to get skinny already. 7 habits of highly healthy mother bloops. And then part 3 is just how not to be a big fat quitty McQuitter face. And so so this is where I tell people about really how to anchor in those habits, how to, most importantly, Mo, and this is what I'm so passionate about talking about, to change your identity. Because this is the difference. There's a lot of people talk about, it's not a diet, it's a lifestyle. And what I say very lovingly at the beginning of this book is, you know what, if you fall off your lifestyle when you're on vacation, when it's your birthday, when things get stressful at work, then with much love, I'm telling you, it is a diet. But if it is your identity, then you will do it no matter what. It's like the difference between someone saying, I go for runs versus I am a runner.
That is,
I am a runner.
That's a light bulb moment that you just shared there. You can't fall off. If you fall off your lifestyle, you're really on a diet. But if you have an identity attached with it, you don't drop your identity for the day.
No. or your vacation or whatever. So for example, if you said, I've been eating healthy, I've been really eating healthy. And then you say, okay, well, are you going to eat healthy 3 Tuesdays from now? Most people will be like, oh, well, I don't know. Like, it depends on the day. And like, if there's stuff around. But if you're like, no, I'm a healthy eater, of course I will. That's just how I eat. It would always be that way, no matter what. So this is what the last part of the book is about, really, really creating this new identity for yourself. And that is the difference between me. For example, when I tried to quit smoking, I had this outdated identity as a smoker who was someone who was creative and cool and blah, blah, blah. I had all these things, these teenage bull about it. And that someone who was a runner, for example, was sort of lame and conservative and listened to dorky news. I don't know what I had about that, but it was like, completely dumb. Yeah. So what I had to do so long after I was like, okay, it's time to give up the ciggies. They got to go. But what I had to do in order to really quit was to shift my identity and accept I'm a non-smoker. And this is what that means. A non-smoker is someone who values this. A non-smoker is someone who feels like this. A non-smoker is someone who shows up like this. But it wasn't until I shifted what my identity was, that I could actually change that habit.
That's so great. What a great advice. It just it really does make total sense. And so fantastic. And, I love what you said about fitness professionals are reaching out, buying this for their clients, because that's not the time that they typically get with a client to work through how to create healthy habits or how to help people identify with what's, standing in their way, their gut, how to, use those strategies in part 2, but then how to change identity.
Right.
That's so great because, we tend to I'm proud to say we are an industry that we support each other and we share each other's knowledge. So that's very good news to hear. I'm not surprised, but it also says a lot about you, Oonagh, to be that type of a leader that is genuine and supportive to help other people be successful. That's why you get such great reviews with your clients and you have such a great reputation in the industry. So congratulations. You've been traveling throughout North America.
Yeah.
And what's been the most surprising part of your book tour that you were not expecting?
Oh, man. Oh, geez. So many moments. Well, I'll share one with you. This is maybe not what you were thinking of, but so when I in Toronto, it was a huge deal. It was awesome. And I was flying off to my first spot on my American book tour. And I got in and there was a bit of a miscommunication in that the bookstore thought that the head office had marketed it and the head office thought that my publicist marketed, my publicist thought that my publisher, my blah, blah, blah. So what happened was that I showed up and just to give you a little bit of context, not to really brag, but I'm coming from sold out events in Toronto and, lineups of people who want me to sign and blah, 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 blah. And so I get to Barnes and Noble in Dallas and the manager says, okay, how about, do you want to stand by the front door and say, hey, do you want to buy my book? It's like, oh, no, I don't. But
no. So what did you do?
So, this is the thing. I was like, all right, how can I make the best of the situation? And so really, I stood there. I talked to anyone who would go up, and it's a little bit uncomfortable, though, when it's got profanity. It was the after church crowd. And to be honest, my conversation opener is, hey, do you want to lose weight? Which is not the best way to meet new people sometimes, right? So what I did is I went up to people and said, hey, how are your healthy habits going? And I made some great friends. And then I had one wonderful person who is on my email list who drove 2 hours to come and see me. So the thing is, and this is what I'll say to emerging fitness professionals, if you are starting a community and you're not at the point where there's lineups of people to get your autograph or whatever, it doesn't matter. What matters is the connections you have with a small but mighty group of people. And so I will say, in doing my US tour, I don't have the critical mass in all these US cities that I do in Toronto, but I had people who drove from Wisconsin to Chicago to come and see me. I had this other guy. So I had these little, and then I get to sit down and really get in with these small but mighty people who brought friends who are spreading the word. And when you develop relationships with people, That's all you got to focus on. Don't worry about mass. Like, don't worry about getting freaking 10,000 Instagram followers so you can get the swipe up feature. What matters is that you are talking to people and you are loving on them and you care about them. That's it. That's it. That's it. That's it. Everything else, forget it.
That is invaluable advice. Thank you for sharing that. And it's amazing what you learn about yourself when you put into those uncomfortable moments and situations. So yeah. I thought you were going to say, so I went outside and I did old-fashioned guerrilla marketing in the parking lot.
You know what? Thank you, Mo. You just held me to a higher standard. Next time, maybe I will.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I want to ask you about 2020. It's a cool new decade we're approaching. And there's so much change in the fitness industry, as there are in all industries right now. So what does Oonagh Duncan see for the fitness industry as we approach 2020 and beyond?
Yeah. A trend that I've noticed coming up in a lot of different places is individualization of your program based on your DNA. You know, you swipe your cheek, you send away, it's going to come back with some individualized, supplement protocol, stuff like that. So I think that people are really, as these things become so much more accessible, there's going to be a lot more demand for these sort of higher tech. And there's a lot of fitness professionals who are getting certified in how to read these sort of, these sort of metrics. Wow. Yeah, that previously was only doctors could do that. So I think that the level of individualization and service that the average consumer is going to start expecting is going to be elevated, and what fitness professionals are going to be able to offer is going to be elevated as well. So I think that that's really exciting. I also think that people are going to be moving away from sort of, I think people are going to start craving those relationships more. That I was talking about. I think that people are getting a little bit jaded about following gurus and like that sort of idea of the celebrity. I think that people are really looking for connection, not only with a fitness professional, but with each other. And I think that one thing that's lost in a lot of these online programs is the connection with each other. And that is critical for anyone. I mean, all of you who've ever taught a class, you know that it's really about the people in the class and the energy they bring. I mean, every single class is different depending on who's there. And I think that attracting those and creating groups is going to be a skill that fitness professionals are going to want to start honing a little bit more.
And I love what you said about, your community. So these groups are your communities and micro communities. Yeah. And you'll have them within the larger community. But you're right. And, there's that famous fact that people quit clubs or quit workouts every day, but they don't quit their friends.
Yes.
Yeah. And the power of, yes, you want to be connected to a fitness professional, but when the fitness professional can create the community and help each other get to know each other. My husband comes home every week. He tells me about Susie and Joe and Dan and Stan. I don't know who the heck he's talking about, but he talks about them every week and how they were still there. They're now pregnant. They have, they fell off their step, whatever, but he always talks about them like they're all this, best friends in this step community. And he's so excited to talk about. And I said, well, what about you? Did you enjoy the class? Oh yeah. But he talks about all his friends.
That's awesome. Your husband's a stepper?
Place and they cheer each other on and they pick up each other's towels. It's like, that's what it's about.
That is what it's about. That is it. And that again is how you're going to create that positive habit loop, because even if I write about this in my book that, if you're someone who does not want to go to a class because you think you're going to be the worst person in the room, I get it. But if you can have the courage to put yourself in that environment, your chances of improving are so much, and your chances of having fun. And that is going to create the social structure, the habit loop, and everything that's really going to make you stick with it. I mean, joining a group when exercising, it cannot be overemphasized.
And the fun factor, that's a key.
Yeah.
We as professionals get so focused on delivering the perfect choreography or, making sure the progression is perfect and like factual and proven. At the end of the day, they want to have fun, and that's what will keep bringing them back.
Totally. I actually have a quick story about that, Mo. When I did my canfitpro fitness instructor certification, so this is in 2001, I dragged my little sister to do it with me because, again, I still had this imposter syndrome. And she didn't take it seriously because she didn't care. I super cared. So I had everything completely choreographed. My sister, during the exam, she forgot what she was supposed to do. So she went, and jazz hands for 36 counts. She literally did jazz hands, and she got a higher mark than me.
There you go. There's
It's about
proof.
fun. Yeah.
Is your sister teaching?
No, she's not. No.
Hard. All right. Well, my question will take us back to the topic of the power of influence. You not only were at the 6th annual Women Who Influence event that took place at canfitpro 2019. That's our big Toronto international event, but you were one of our distinguished speakers. I'd love you to share your experience there because you work primarily with women. That's your niche. What was that like for you, both as a recipient of the information and as a presenter on stage? Tell us about it, and who would you recommend attend that event?
Oh my gosh. Well, it was sort of like a repeat of my whole fitness journey, because I remember going to that first class, seeing that woman on stage and thinking, oh my gosh, she's so cool. And it reminds me of going to the first ever Women of Influence event and sitting there and seeing people like, Mindy Mulray and like all these people who I was like, oh my gosh, like these women are so cool. And just thinking like that thing, like one day I'm going to be on that stage. So being there was, I can't even tell you what an honor it was. But the people, like, again, we're talking about the power of social. The other women that I got to share that stage with are just like unbelievably inspiring, unbelievable. And now I get to call them my friends, and I get to call Mo a friend. Like, how unbelievably powerful is that? And it started by me going to Women of Influence and seeing them. And it's like a marker. We need those role models. And especially as women in the fitness industry, where like most industries, the higher up you go, the less representation there is for women. You need to go to events like this, and you need to have women that you look up at and you say, that's where I'm going. You need to have, it's like a map. It's like putting in your GPS coordinates for your brain. You see it and you're like, that's it. That's what I want.
Love
That's
it.
why you need to go to Women of Influence, who influence.
Well,
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. And for those that are viewing this live or after the fact, if I was sitting here listening to this, I'd be going, I don't even know what Women Who Influence is, but for Oonagh to be that a matter of fact about it,
Yeah.
and it's edification of exactly how you got to where you are in your journey by having role models and being in the room and being brave and being uncomfortable and stepping into it anyways, and not even knowing what the heck you're doing. You said that earlier. And even surprising yourself that you could evolve into this amazing superpower that you are and that everybody can be. So Women Who Influence 2020 is one of our pre-conference events. It's on Thursday, August 13th. You're right. Put it in your GPS, put it in your goals, put it in your calendar now, and be there and be in the room. And all I can tell you is, yes, we spend 9 months building this event, but the magic happens in the moment, on the day, and it's because who's there.
That's right.
And we don't know, you just got to go. So
you never know who's going to be at that table, but it's going to be the right person.
Exactly. Always. Oh my gosh. And we could talk for hours about the things that happened in that room. I'm going to check with Camilla, see if we have any questions that came in yet.
Sure, yeah.
And so we don't have any yet. So if you have a question, we're going to be wrapping this up now. So you have the opportunity to be the question that Oonagh or I can answer. But I'm going to ask you a question. What is your future hold for you? What's next for you?
Ooh, well, okay. What I've got coming up, I am so excited. I'm revamping my online programs, and I'm super excited for that. It's great. It's going to have so right now I do a 28-day transformation, which is fantastic. I want one that's a lot more of a longer vision that's really going to help anchor in that new identity. And I want to support my clients in that longer term process. Secondly, I've got a retreat coming up in Mexico, in Tulum in March, and it's going to be so good.
Oh, wow.
It's going to be amazing. Last year it was like, it's one of those things. It's one of those pivotal moments you show up in person and things are different from there. You have a different peer group. You have different ideas of what's possible for you. So it's incredible. I'm excited about that. And traveling with my family a lot and hopefully starting to work on my ideas for my next book.
Oh, I'm glad to hear you say that. There's something contagious about book writing. You write one, there's got to be a sequel.
Right.
Like a great movie.
Yeah, that's right. Because also I'm bouncing off all the responses from it. I'm getting so many people emailing me every single day saying, oh my gosh, I read your book and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, oh, that keys another idea. Oh, they also need to know this. They need to know this. So I'm trying to go, on social media and say, oh, blah, 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 blah. But there's got to be another book in there because there's more that people need to know, I feel.
Great. All right, this is a two-part question to close us off today.
Sure.
First part of the question is, what do you do to make sure fitness is fun in your life? And secondly, if someone wants to get a copy of your book, where do they go?
Okay, thank you. So fitness and fun in my life. Oh, 90s hip hop all the time. So for me, dancing is absolutely critical, and good music, and my good music is super cheesy music. And friends, the more you can support, be with other people. And when I say fitness, I just mean life. So this is when I meet people for, where I used to meet people for drinks all the time. Now we meet for like a Sunday morning hike, and the more movement, the better. I have a little trampoline in my house. I bounce on that to my music.
Right.
Do you have one too? It's the best, right?
I'm going on for a minute right
Honestly,
after the live interview.
Right. Nothing will change your mood faster. So that stuff like this. And so that's what I do. And involving my family, getting super dorky with my kids. I love that. So all of that is great. And what was that? Oh, where can you get my book? Anywhere. Please get it on Amazon and get it in Indigo. You can get it at your local indie bookseller, please. And on Audible. I did my own Audible, which was so fun. So
wow.
If you want me whispering sweet swear words in your ears, then I would love to do that.
Get it on Audible, because when I came to your launch and you read the forward, it's your tone and your expression, and it makes the vulgarity so fun because it's you. It's almost like we're watching, well, you're acting. So I can't wait. I'm glad to hear, because sometimes authors won't do their own Audible, and it's so different when you don't hear the author themselves. Yeah. So that's what I'm doing after I jump for a minute. I'm going to go download that on Audible. I have 2 copies of your book. I take it on the plane. I love it. And it's also a conversation starter. I just put it there, and I've done it now 3 times. So each time I either get someone looking at it, or they ask me, what do you do?
Oh, interesting. That's great.
This really cool book. No kidding.
Thank you.
But that's great. I'm glad you did that. Congratulations. That's a lot of work.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And speaking of work, it's time to go back to work if you've caught us live at lunch. So thank you for joining me, Mo Hagan at CanFitPro Live, with our special guest today, Oonagh Duncan. Thank you, Oonagh, for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Keep going out there and making the world so bright, shiny, and fun with your presence.
Thank you.
We'll catch you soon. Bye for now, everybody.
Bye.